Welcome to another math session here in Solve It with Sir Jude. Today, we are going to discuss about the trigonometric ratios of special angles 30 degrees, 45 degrees, and 60 degrees angles. If you can remember, we encountered special angles during the third quarter. So, tinawag silang special angles because we don't need to compute for the measure of the lengths of the special right triangles. So, ganun din dito. So, when we talk about trigonometric ratios of special angles, 30, 45, 60 degrees angles, hindi na natin kailangan ng calculator for us to get their values. So, kahit na gano'ng kalaki or gano'ng kaliit ang triangle, yung trigonometric ratios for 30, 45, and 60 will still be the same. So, let us now have a table here wherein we will be filling up those blanks, those rows and columns of the trigonometric ratio later. So we will be dealing about a 30 degree, 45 degree, and 60 degree angle. And we are going to get the 6 trigonometric ratios: sine, cosine, tangent, cosecant, secant, and cotangent. If you can remember, in the first video that we have released during the fourth quarter, na-discuss na natin yung trigonometric ratio. So we have the SOHCAHTOA and CHOSHCAHTOA. So we will be using them here. So paano ba natin makukuha yung special angles ng trigonometric ratios for 30, 45, and 60 degree angles? So let us first have the special angle 30 degrees. So meaning the reference angle or theta here is 30 degrees. So let us have a right triangle here wherein it should be a 30, 60, 90 right triangle. Our focus is the 30 degree angle, and we are asked to find the 6 trigonometric ratios of 30 degrees. So since this is our reference angle 30 degrees, therefore this side or the side opposite the 90 degree angle is our hypotenuse. So the side opposite it, so this will be our opposite side, and then the last side will be the adjacent side. If we are going to let the hypotenuse be equal to 2, what will be the length of our opposite side? So remember, ang opposite side natin dito will be the shorter leg. So therefore, to get the shorter leg here, we just need to divide the hypotenuse by 2 or get its half. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. So therefore, the opposite side is 1 unit. How about the adjacent side? So this will be our longer leg. So therefore, to get the longer leg in a 30, 60, 90 right triangle, given the shorter leg, which is 1, we just need to multiply it by square root of 3. So 1 times square root of 3 is 1 square root of 3, or simply square root of 3. Since the sides of our 30, 60, 90 right triangle are complete, we can now get the 6 trigonometric ratios of 30 degrees. Let us have sine 30 degrees. Sine, which has the equivalent ratio opposite side over the hypotenuse. So the opposite side here is 1 divided by or over the length of the hypotenuse, which is 2. So therefore, sine 30 degrees, so this is the standard or the exact value, is 1/2. If you are going to encode this using the calculator, the result will be 0.5. So how about cosine 30 degrees? Remember that cosine 30 degrees is just equivalent to the ratio the adjacent side over the hypotenuse. So given the sides of this right triangle, the adjacent side is the square root of 3. So this is the measure over the length of the hypotenuse, which is 2. So therefore, cosine 30 degrees is just equivalent to square root of 3 over 2. So just like sine 30 degrees, ito na yung standard or exact value ng ating cosine 30 degrees. So how about for our tangent 30 degrees? So TOA, tangent, so that would just be the opposite side over the length of the adjacent side. So substituting the values, that will just be 1, the length of the opposite side, over square root of 3. So take note that this expression 1 over square root of 3 is not yet in its simplest form. So to get its simplest form, we need to rationalize the denominator by multiplying both numerator and denominator by square root of 3. And if we are going to simplify this, it will result to square root of 3 over 3. So hence, we already have the values of sine, cosine, tangent for the angle 30 degrees. How are we going to get cosecant 30, secant 30, and cotangent 30? So it will just be easy because we already have the value of the reciprocals. So sine is the reciprocal of cosecant. So if we are going to get the reciprocal of 1/2, so that will just be 2 over 1, or simply 2. So therefore, we can say that cosecant 30 degrees is equal to 2. Next, how about secant 30 degrees? So remember that secant is just the reciprocal of cosine. So therefore, we just need to get the reciprocal of square root of 3 over 2. So that will just be 2 over the square root of 3. And if you can see, 2 over square root of 3 is not yet in its simplest form. We need to rationalize the fraction by multiplying both numerator and denominator by square root of 3. And if we are going to simplify, 2 times square root of 3 is 2 square root of 3. Square root of 3 times square root of 3, and the denominator, that will be square root of 9, or simply 3. Hence, we have secant 30 degrees, which is equal to 2 square root of 3 over 3. How about for cotangent? For cotangent, we know that it is the reciprocal of tangent. Okay, cotangent 30 degrees is just the reciprocal of tangent 30 degrees. So this is square root of 3 over 3. We need to get the reciprocal. So that will just be 3 over square root of 3. Again, we need to rationalize by multiplying both numerator and denominator by square root of 3. And if we are going to simplify this one, this will result to square root of 3. So we are now through completing the 6 trigonometric ratios of special angles 30 degrees. So eto na yung kanyang mga values. So even without the use of calculator, so eto na yung kanyang value or exact value. So let us now proceed with the 60 degree special angle. So again, the figure that we are going to use is a 30, 60, 90 right triangle. But this time, the reference angle theta is 60 degrees. So kanina si 30 degrees. Now, let us have 60 degrees as our reference angle. So magkakaiba yung opposite at adjacent side natin. But the hypotenuse will still be the same. So the side opposite the 60 degree angle, so this will now be the opposite side. And the last side, this side will just be our adjacent side. So we will still be using the same measures as what we had in the 30 degree angle. So we have 2 for the hypotenuse, we have the shorter leg 1, and then the longer leg we have square root of 3. So now let us have the 6 trigonometric ratios of a 60 degree angle. So sine 60 degrees is just equivalent to the ratio opposite side over the hypotenuse. Taking its values or substituting the values, we now have square root of 3, so that will be the opposite side, over 2, which is the hypotenuse. So next, we have cosine 60 degrees. It is equivalent to the ratio adjacent side over the hypotenuse. The adjacent side is 1, while the hypotenuse has the measure 2. And then for the last one, tangent 60 degrees, we have opposite side over the adjacent side. So that will be square root of 3 over 1, or simply square root of 3. So we already have the first 3 trigonometric ratios in 60 degrees angle. But we can actually get the remaining 3 by getting the reciprocal of sine, cosine, and tangent. So for sine, we all know that cosecant is just the reciprocal of sine. We just need to get the reciprocal of sine 60 degrees, which is square root of 3 over 2, for us to get cosecant 60 degrees. So getting its reciprocal, so that will now be 2 over square root of 3. We need to rationalize by multiplying numerator and denominator by square root of 3. So simplifying this one, we have 2 square root of 3 over 3. And then, we all know that secant is just the reciprocal of cosine. Cosine 60 is 1/2. So to get secant 60, we just need to get the reciprocal of 1/2. So that will be 2 over 1. Or simplifying it further, we have it as 2. And then the last one is cotangent. Cotangent is the reciprocal of tangent. Tangent 60 degrees is square root of 3. But take note that this square root of 3 has a denominator of 1. By getting its reciprocal, we will get cotangent 60. So let us get the reciprocal. We now have 1 over square root of 3. By rationalizing this fraction and simplifying, we now have square root of 3 over 3. Let us now proceed with the 45 degree angle. So to get the 45 degree angle, we will be using the reference angle theta, which is equivalent to 45 degrees. So for 30 degrees and 60 degrees angles, we use the 30, 60, 90 right triangle. For this one, for 45, we will be deriving the values using the isosceles right triangle or the 45, 45, 90 right triangle. So let us use this 45-degree angle, so our reference angle. So therefore, this side, the side opposite our 90-degree angle is the hypotenuse, and both remaining sides of this triangle will be the legs. But let us name this side using or in reference with 45 degrees. So this will be the opposite side, and the remaining side will be the adjacent side. Okay? So if the hypotenuse is 2, how are we going to get the length of each leg? So remember that if the leg of a 45, 45, 90 right triangle is given, we need to multiply it by square root of 2 to get the hypotenuse. So pag hypotenuse naman ang given to get the leg, we need first to divide the hypotenuse by 2. After dividing it by 2, we need to multiply the quotient by square root of 2. So let us do it. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. So the quotient is 1. 1 times square root of 2 is square root of 2. So therefore, each leg measures square root of 2. So since we've already completed the sides of this 45, 45, 90 or isosceles right triangle, we are now ready to get the 6 trigonometric ratios of 45-degree angle. So let us start with sine 45 degrees. So sine again is just equivalent to the ratio opposite side over the hypotenuse. So therefore, if we are going to substitute, so that will be square root of 2, the opposite side over the hypotenuse, which is 2. Therefore, the exact value of sine 45 degrees is square root of 2 over 2. How about for cosine 45 degrees? So again, the ratio is just equivalent to the adjacent side over the hypotenuse. So the adjacent side is square root of 2, the hypotenuse is 2. So therefore, we have square root of 2 over 2. So again, mas madaling kabisaduhin yung 45-degree special angles because sine and cosine are the same. Sine 45, cosine 45 degrees are both equal to square root of 2 over 2 as their exact values. So next, let us have tangent 45 degrees. So tangent is just equivalent to the ratio opposite side over the adjacent side. And if we are going to substitute the given, so that will just be square root of 2 over square root of 2. And if we are going to simplify this further, this is just equivalent to 1. Okay? So nakompleto na natin yung first 3 trigonometric ratios, sine, cosine, tangent for 45 degrees. We are now ready to get the remaining 3 for special angle 45 degrees. So cosecant is just the reciprocal of sine. Sine 45 is square root of 2 over 2. So to get cosecant 45 degrees, we just need to get its reciprocal. So that will just be 2 over square root of 2. We need to rationalize this one by multiplying both numerator and denominator by square root of 2. So 2 times square root of 2 is 2 square root of 2 over square root of 2 times square root of 2, that will be square root of 4. And we all know we have the square root of 4, which is equivalent to 2. Simplifying that, we now have square root of 2 as the exact value of cosecant 45 degrees. And if you can see, sine and cosine have the same value, so therefore their reciprocals must have the same values. So cosecant is square root of 2, secant, which is the reciprocal of cosine, should have the value square root of 2. And lastly, cotangent is just the reciprocal of tangent. So tangent 45 degrees is 1, getting its reciprocal will still be 1. So therefore, cotangent 45 degrees is equal to 1. So we have already completed the table of trigonometric ratios of special angles, 30 degrees, 45 degrees, and 60 degrees angles. If you can see, medyo mahirap i-memorize ang mga values na yan. So there is a trick or a technique that we can use in order for us to get the exact values of sine, cosine, tangent, cosecant, secant, cotangent, having their special angles 30, 45, and 60 without memorizing. And that is using a hand trick. Okay, so this hand trick works. We need to place your palm or hand facing you. So this one. And then, we will be remembering this expression, square root of x over 2. And we need to take note that x in the radical symbol or inside the radical symbol is the number of fingers either above or below. Because mamaya magpo-fold tayo ng mga fingers natin base sa special angle na given. Next, let us have the order of special angles. From the thumb, we have 0 degrees. Next is 30 degrees. Next, for the middle finger, we have the 45 degrees. Next, we have the 60 degrees. And then the last one for the smallest finger, we have the 90 degrees. So, palaki yung values. 0, 30, 45, 60, 90. So next, when we talk about sine, we will be counting the number of fingers above the given angle. Kapag naman cosine, yung mga fingers below the given angle. So let us have an example. Find the exact value of sine 30 degrees. So the first thing that we should do is to fold the finger that corresponds to the given angle. 0, 30. So i-fold natin yan. Then we need to consider the trigonometric ratio that we are going to use. So we are finding sine. Okay? So therefore, we need to take a look at the finger above the given angle, which is 30 degrees. So ilan ang nakatayo? So we have one finger. So that one finger will go inside the radical symbol. Okay? And if we are going to get the square root of 1, square root of 1 is just equal to 1. Hence, we have the expression 1/2. And we can say that sine 30 degrees is just equal to 1/2. So let us now see kung tama ba or tugma ba yung sine 30 degrees doon sa table na ginawa natin. So sine 30 degrees is 1/2. Okay? So next, let us proceed with finding the exact value of cosine 60 degrees. So for this time, we need to fold the 60-degree finger. So this one, 0, 30, 45, 60. So i-fold natin yan. And then, we need to take a look at the trigonometric ratio used. So we have cosine. So we need to count the number of fingers below. So ilan lang ba yung finger dyan? So we have one finger below. So yung 1 na yan will go inside the radical symbol. So square root of 1 is 1. Therefore, we can say that cosine 60 degrees is equal to 1/2. So again, tingnan ulit natin kung tugma ba doon sa ating trigonometric ratios of special angles table. So cosine 60 degrees is really 1/2. So next, another example. Find the exact value of sine 60 degrees. So again, we need to fold the finger that corresponds to the given angle. So 60 degrees, 0, 30, 45, 60. So i-fold. And then we need to count the number of fingers above since sine ang hinahanap. The trigonometric ratio, sine. So how many fingers above? So we have 3. So yung 3 na yan will go inside the radical symbol. And 3 is not a perfect square. So therefore, we can say that sine 60 degrees is equivalent to square root of 3 over 2. So tingnan ulit natin, square root of 3 over 2 nga ba? So there, sine 60 degrees is equivalent to square root of 3 over 2. So how about this one? It is your turn. Find the exact value of cosine 45 degrees. What's your answer? So we need to fold the finger that corresponds to 45 degrees, which is our middle finger. And then the trigonometric ratio used is cosine. So therefore, we need to count the number of fingers below. So ilan ba ang number of fingers below? So we have 1, 2. So therefore, 2 fingers below this 2 will go inside the radical symbol. 2 is not a perfect square. So therefore, cosine 45 degrees is simply square root of 2 over 2. So how about for tangent? For sine and cosine, we will be using the expression square root of x over 2. When we talk about tangent, we will be using the expression square root of the fingers above over the square root of the fingers below. So again, we will still be using the same pattern or steps. So tangent 60 ang pinapahanap sa atin. So therefore, i-fold ang 60-degree finger. So there. And then after that, we need to count the number of fingers above. So we have 3 fingers above. So yun yung nasa loob ng radical symbol for the numerator. And then the number of fingers below. So we have 1. So yun naman yung nasa loob ng radical symbol sa denominator. And if you can see, this square root of 1 is simply 1. So if we are going to simplify, tangent 60 degrees is just equivalent to square root of 3. And then if we are going to go back again to our table, tangent 60 degrees is equivalent to square root of 3. So yung hand trick natin really works. So how about this one? We are asked to find the exact value of tangent 45 degrees. So again, we need to fold the finger that corresponds to 45. So etong middle, ating i-fold. Therefore, we now have this. And then after that, we need to count the fingers above. So that will be 2. So yun yung nasa loob ng radical symbol for the numerator. And then count the fingers below. So we also have 2. So yun naman yung nasa loob ng radical symbol sa denominator. If you can see, numerator and denominator are equal. And simplifying this one will result to 1. So therefore, tangent 45 degrees is just equivalent to 1. How about tangent 30 degrees? So same process, i-fold natin yung ating finger for the 30 degrees. And then we need to count the number of fingers above. So we have 1 finger above. So yan yung nasa numerator, nasa loob ng radical symbol. And then the fingers below, so we have 3. Yun naman yung nasa loob ng radical symbol for the denominator. Simplifying this one, square root of 1 is 1. While 3 is not a perfect square. So remember, kapag ka-tangent, meron tayong times na kailangan nating mag-rationalize. So this one, we need to rationalize by multiplying both numerator and denominator by square root of 3. And simplifying further, we have square root of 3 over 3. So therefore, we can say that tangent 30 degrees is just equivalent to square root of 3 over 3. Okay? So next, how about, sir, for cosecant, secant, and cotangent? Oh, no worries. We need to consider its reciprocal. So how about if we are going to ask the exact value of secant 60 degrees? We need to note that secant is the reciprocal of cosine. So therefore, we need first to get cosine 60 degrees. Kasi kapag nakuha natin yung cosine 60 degrees, i-reciprocal lang natin siya, that will now be the measure or the equivalent ratio of secant 60 degrees. Okay? So let us now fold the finger that corresponds to 60 degrees. So this one. And then after that, we need to use this expression, square root of x over 2, since we are to get cosine 60 degrees. Okay, so we need to count the number of fingers below. So there is only 1 finger below. So yun yung nasa loob ng radical symbol. And if we are going to simplify this one, square root of 1 is 1. Hence, we can say that cosine 60 degrees is 1/2. Since ang tinutukoy natin or hinahanap natin is secant 60 degrees, get the reciprocal of 1/2. The reciprocal of 1/2 is 2. So therefore, secant 60 degrees is equal to 2. Let us now proceed to our next example. So we need to find the exact value of cotangent 30 degrees. So cotangent, we need to note that cotangent is the reciprocal of tangent. So get first tangent 30 degrees. So we need to use this expression, square root of the fingers above over the square root of the fingers below. Kapag nakuha natin si tangent 30 degrees, get the reciprocal, and that will be the measure or the ratio equivalent to cotangent 30 degrees. So let us now have or fold 30-degree finger, and then let us count the number of fingers above. So we have 1. So yun yung nasa numerator. And then the number of fingers below, we have 3. So that will be on the denominator. Next, we need to rationalize. The square root of 1 is 1. Hence, we have 1 over square root of 3. So dito pa lang, pwede na tayo mag-reciprocal to get cotangent 30 degrees. Getting its reciprocal, we have square root of 3 over 1. Simplifying it further, we have square root of 3. Therefore, cotangent 30 degrees is just equivalent to square root of 3. So let us check cotangent 30 degrees. So that will be really square root of 3. So that will be the end of our discussion for today about the trigonometric ratios of special angles 30 degrees, 45 degrees, and 60 degrees. So if you've learned something for today about the discussion about trigonometric ratios of special angles, do not forget to like this video. Share this video para malaman nila yung technique sa pagkuha ng exact value ng special angles. And if you are new to our channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell for more video lessons. So this is Sir Jude. Good day!